What up, everybody? This is RBT bringing you my 2012 ACC conference prediction video. Just going to go through the two divisions, the Atlantic Division and the Coastal Division. And this is the year before Pittsburgh and Syracuse join. Remember, this is just an opinion and it might be different from yours, but it doesn't mean that it's wrong. Starting with the Atlantic from top to bottom, I got Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina State, Wake Forest, Boston College, and Maryland. Clemson's number one, obviously, because they bring back a little bit more than every other team. They bring back Taj Boyd, Sammy Watkins, Andre Ellington. They just bring back just about the core part of their offense. They bring back a few offensive linemen. Their defense was terrible last year. Well, actually, not necessarily terrible, but very, very inconsistent. And when they were inconsistent at the worst parts, they were terrible, like in that Orange Bowl. But I think they're really going to use that Orange Bowl as just motivation, just to get back to the Orange Bowl this year, or try to anyway. And I believe they'll come up on top in the Atlantic Division. Got Florida State too, because they bring back E.J. Manuel. He was up and down last year, but he can be a good quarterback. I think he's a junior this year. He might be a senior. But they bring back probably one of the best, no doubt the best wide receiver core in the ACC, and one of the best in the country. Their defense is going to be really, really good this year, and their offensive line was their biggest question mark last year. So if their offensive line bounces back and they are one of the better offensive line in the ACC, I could see them actually winning the Atlantic. But that's the missing piece of their team right now, is their offensive line. The three at North Carolina State, they bring back Mike Glennon, who is probably the most underrated quarterback in the ACC and might honestly be the best quarterback in the ACC. They bring back the running back. They honestly have the best returning secondary in the ACC, and that's led by cornerback David Amerson, the Thorpe Award finalist last year. He's a ball hawk. He is the definition of one. He had the most, I think he led the college football interceptions last year, and he's coming back. He's only a junior. This is probably his last year in college, but they could be a surprise this year. They have a chance to have a few upsets this year. They played my local college, South Alabama, but that kind of sucks because they're going to kill them. But yeah, North Carolina State have a good year this year. 4 got Wake Forest. They bring back their quarterback, Tanner Price, who's a lefty. He honestly is pretty good. Really underrated. If you play Wake Forest, they'll scare you. They'll hang with you to the end. They bring back the running back, Josh Harris. They have 7 returners on defense, but they lose both of their safeties. So their 2 corners return, but if they can replace the 2 lost safeties with some decent talented players, they could have one of the better defenses in the ACC this year. But the reason I have them 4 instead of 3 above North Carolina State is because they lose 4 out of 5 offensive linemen, and that's going to be a huge loss for them. So another key is how well the new offensive linemen replace the offensive linemen from last year. 5, we got Boston College. They lost 5 out of 7 players out of their front 7, led by Luke Kuechly. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's an absolute beast. I really hope my Titans trade up to get him, because this guy's going to be one of the greats in the NFL. They bring back the quarterback, David Shinsky, who has been terrible. The whole entire quarterback situation for Boston College the past few years since Matt Ryan has been absolutely dreadful. They've not had one decent quarterback on that team. That's what they've been missing. Every year for Frank Spaziani's team, they have a great defense because he knows how to coach guys up. He always has that one linebacker that's one of the best in the country, or at least the best in the ACC every year. So that's expected. You're expected for them to have a great defense. So if they can get David Shinsky or one of those quarterbacks can step up and be a game manager, that's all they're asking for him to be, is a game manager. They can be a pretty good team. So they bring back 4 out of the 5 offensive linemen, so they're going to have a running game. The running back situation has been really unstable the last few years. They had Montel Harris, who was a really, really good running back, maybe one of the best in the ACC. And then I really don't even know what happened to him. He just didn't play at all last year. I don't know if it was suspension or he just quit or what. They also bring back their tight end, who's actually pretty good, really underrated. Caleb Shinelli, I think his name is. But yeah, in 6 got Maryland because they were absolutely dreadful last year, 2-10, 1-9 in the ACC. They lost their quarterback Danny O'Brien to Wisconsin. I'm not going to put them any higher until I see otherwise from them, because they don't return. They lost a lot of guys. When you lose a lot of guys that were your best players off the 2-10 team, you're not going to get any better. But moving on to the Coastal Division, from top to bottom, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, North Carolina, Virginia, Miami, and Duke. I got Georgia Tech number 1. When I first was writing my list down, I had Virginia Tech number 1, but then I was looking over the depth charts of the team, and Georgia Tech returns 17 out of 18 starters. And that one starter that left was Stephen Hill, the wide receiver that blew up the combine. But Georgia Tech always has that one deep threat receiver that always turns out to be good. It was Stephen Hill last year. The year before that was Demarius Thomas. A few years before that was Calvin Johnson. They always have that one deep threat that always gets built up as a wide receiver at Georgia Tech. It's just something about them. So I'm sure they're going to have some guy that can step up. They bring back their quarterback Tevin Washington, who was pretty decent last year. But I mean, Georgia Tech was not that bad of a team last year. They were mid upper tier of the ACC. And when you return 17 out of 18 players that started last year, you're going to be a really, really good team. And I think they're just going to be a lot better than the other teams in the ACC. So I think they're going to finish first in the Coastal. Number 2, we got Virginia Tech. Their key this year is to have a running back that will step up and a few wide receivers that will step up. But the reason I have them number 2 and not any lower, even though they lose a lot, is because Logan Thomas is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. This guy is an absolute stud. He's 6'6", can run like a deer, can run you over, has the strongest arm in the ACC, but he's inconsistent at times. But if he can find that consistency throughout the season, he can be one of the best and a Heisman candidate, actually. They lost a lot of their secondary. They need to replace them. They lost their 2 best receivers who've been really productive over the few years, Danny Cole and Jarrett Boykin. They lost David Wilson, the all-ACC running back. So their key is for Michael Holmes to step up. That is a running back that will be starting next year for Virginia Tech, or is probably going to start. So if those guys can step up, they'll be up top in the Coastal. 3rd, I got North Carolina. They returned their quarterback Bryn Renner, who is really, really underrated. He's a pretty good quarterback. Bring back the all-ACC running back Giovanni Bernard. He can run you over like crazy. They lost Quentin Copeles though. The beast defensive lineman, and they have that 1-year bowl ban. So you all might not think this is a big of a factor, but I think they'll lose motivation. I mean, I know it kind of seems silly, but I mean it really does happen. They can't go to a bowl game. They can't go to the conference championship game. So what the heck are they going to try to do? First year coach, transitional year. They have talent. They have just as much as talent as anybody else in the ACC, but I just don't see them really. I mean, they have a chance to get the top of the Coastal, but I really don't see them. I see them being in the middle of a pack division team. 4, I've got Virginia. They bring back quarterback Michael Rocco, who was a pretty decent game manager last year. Bring back the running back Perry Jones, who's a lot better than people believe. They lost their best corner, Chase Minifield. He was actually really, really good. They lost their best wide receiver, Chris Bird. But the guy to look out for this team that you might not all know of is Jake Schneider. That guy is an absolute beast on the defensive line. He can rush the passer. He's a white guy. Dude is an absolute stud. So watch out for him. But the reason I have them 4, not any higher, is they just really don't have talent across the board. Mike London is a heck of a coach. Came from Richmond a few years ago. Last year actually. He led Virginia to a bowl game last year. They were one game from winning the Coastal last year against Virginia Tech. If they would have beat Virginia Tech at the end, they would have gone, but they lost 36-0, I believe. But he just knows how to coach. He knows how to win games. So if he can get some talent across the board, they can be contending for the ACC very, very soon. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're not a bad team. They're just not talented enough, I don't think, to compete right now. 5, Miami fans are going to hate me, but I got you here. You just lost too much, man. You lost Tommy Streeter, Oliver Vernon, Brandon Washington. You lost your best defensive lineman, Marcus Folston, your all-ACC running back, Lamar Miller. You just lost too much. You don't have Ja'Cory Harris anymore. You have a guy that's got to step in, Ryan Williams. I mean, I'm sure some Miami fans are like, thank God Ja'Cory's gone, but this is too much. They're just kind of up in the air right now. I mean, they're Miami, so you know they got talent. Their O-line is going to be kind of bad this year. I actually saw some sign that's been posted around the U's campus saying if you're over 6'1", 230, you can try out for the football team because they need offensive linemen. So that shows you that Al Golden isn't too confident in his linemen. But I have them at 5. Give them a few more years of recruiting, and they'll get back up to how they were a few years ago, competing for the ACC every year. But this year, I just don't see it. And number 6, Duke. I mean, it's a popular pick to put Duke at number 6, last in the division always because it's Duke. But that's really not the case. They're a lot more talented than teams and fans expect out of them. Their quarterback Sean Renfrey is really, really good, honestly. And their running back Desmond Scott, that dude can run. He'll get past you and be like, what the heck, where'd he go? They bring back 12 out of 18 starters, and I think it's 15 out of the 18 on the 2 deep. So they're pretty experienced. So if you see Duke pulling upset this year, do not be surprised. But I really don't think they have the talent really to hang with the other teams. But they're not a team to look down on. And that is it, guys. That is it for my ACC prediction video. Let me know what you think. I try to do as good as I can. You got some hate on my other videos because I don't have their favorite team, number 1 or 2. So just remember, I got to put a neat team at 6. Have to. And just let me know what you think. And roll Tide, go Titans, and go Sox to you.